A briefing with White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. We're going to bring that to you just as soon as possible. For more on this, let's bring in our political panel. Chris Plant is a syndicated radio host of The Chris Plant Show. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio host of The Leslie Marshall Show. So there, which is also a syndicated radio talk show. She's a Fox News contributor. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Chris, what do you make of this today?
Today?
Right.
A lot
this
like
minute,
yesterday.
this minute,
well,
yeah.
That's exactly it. I think Senator McCain is onto something here. We've lost the 24-hour news cycle. We're onto a 5-minute news cycle, and we repeat it again and again. And we've reached a point of madness. I'm really concerned about the mental and emotional well-being of the city of Washington and everyone in it. We've lost what was left of our mind. We've blown everything out of proportion. It is a constant state of hysteria. And the appalling part of it is that this is really what we're witnessing is the Democrats campaigning for the midterm elections. That's what this is all about. They know there's nothing impeachable here. There's no obstruction of justice. They know that. They know that all of this is just political stuff. You use the word hyperbole. I'll use that word too in this context. But over a dinner table, I might use a different word. And we're not getting any better there. We show signs of getting worse before we get any better.
There's a lot of hysteria. There's also one very big question. It was raised by Peter King earlier today on this network. Let's listen.
I'm just saying that if this was as serious as it's now being made out to be, why has Director Comey been so silent for the last 2 months?
It's a good question, Leslie. What do you think?
Well, I think that when James Comey was the director of the FBI, there was an ongoing investigation. And just like anybody, remember, the FBI is not going to bring forth charges or indictments. They're going to make recommendations to the Department of Justice, which you can't until you have completed everything. However, now, after the termination of Mr. Comey in that position, he is a free private citizen. And quite frankly, I don't agree with Chris at all on this. There's not hysteria. The American people, regardless of their ideology, they want the truth. We know there's a memo, and we know that we will hear from Mr. Comey, whether he comes just being invited, whether he is subpoenaed, and we know that the information is being gathered. So this is not hysteria. This is just wanting the truth, and this comes from both sides of the aisle.
Chris, it seems like, for Peter King, who's very straight, very sober, I mean, you know, for him to say this at this point, it seems like if you're the head of the FBI and you're running an investigation, you're overseeing an investigation, or your department is doing a big investigation, and you think the president is obstructing justice, that's something that you bring up sooner rather than later, no?
Right. Can I please address that? Because, listen, if Director Comey wrote up this entry in his diary that the President of the United States attempted to obstruct justice, and then he sat on it, why was he sitting on it? Why was he holding that memo in reserve? Was he planning on using it to some nefarious end? If he's Mr. Integrity, as he's supposed to be sort of on again, off again, depending on which party you ask on any given day of the week, why did the FBI director, who witnessed this effort to obstruct justice, hold it in reserve? Is he J. Edgar Hoover? Is he the head of the KGB? Was he holding this for political purposes? And now we're told that he's going to be doling out memos one at a time for maximum political effect. At what point does he become suspect in all of this? This whole thing is absurd, and there's not a legal expert in their right mind that will tell you that that constitutes obstruction of justice anyway.
Leslie, I'll let you respond to that, because some are saying, like Chris, that it feels like it's becoming tit for tat between Comey and Trump.
Well, look, it's not just about tit for tat. And Chris, there are many legal individuals, whether they're left or right, that have said, if in fact this is true, it is obstruction of justice, including those that worked in the Nixon White House and in the Clinton White House, or both. In addition to that, we have Republicans like from Maine, Angus King, that said very reluctantly it seems to be going the way toward impeachment. Obviously, because we're hearing from overwhelming majority of Democrats, with the exception of one, that it's too early to tell. But that's the thing. I think with James Comey, it may have been too early to tell. You don't just say, boom, I had one conversation, obstruction of justice. You have to have all of the T's crossed and I's dotted before making such an accusation.
We got to go. We got a lot more to argue about, I know, and we have a lot more time to argue, but not today. Thanks, guys. A Fox News alert for you now on Wall Street is